Welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio, where truth equals reality, and truth is often stranger than fiction.
Hello everyone, welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio. This is your host, Royce the Redneck Radio Man, and joining me today is going to be author Diana Cooper. And in fact, I think she's also a wisdom teacher and a spiritual teacher as well. And we're going to talk about her new book, Transition to the Golden Age in 2032. But she would also like to tell us a little something about her Circles of Wisdom conference. Was a conference and a tour that's coming up in the near future. I don't have the exact date of that down, but she'll be able to tell us. And if you look below the chat room, you'll see her picture and her the description with a link to her site and a link to the tour, so y'all can check those out. And before we get started real quick, I want to remind everybody, especially since not everyone's listening at the site, that the call-in number is 832-632-7904. And also want to let everybody know that her site is www.dianacooper.com. And you can also come to my site to listen to the show live and join chat. Membership is free, and it lets you into the chat room. It's www.paranormalpalace.com. So, Diana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. It's really nice to talk to you.
Well, it's really nice to talk to you and have you on the show. I think I've seen your website on more than one occasion there, and this here book, it's only one out of many you have, isn't that correct?
Yes, I've got 19 books and 4 children's books, so yes, quite a lot that I've been doing.
Yeah, and when I was at your website looking at your children's books, I noticed they weren't your ordinary run-of-the-mill children's nursery rhymes or nursery tales like The Cat in the Hat. No, these are more geared toward entertainment as well as spirituality at the same time, weren't they?
They're all designed to empower children as well as to help them, and to help them understand that there are realms beyond our physical realm from which they can get help. So they will help connect children to their guardian angels and tell them what they can do, but all set in beautiful stories. This little girl called Tara, she finds life very difficult. She's ungrounded. She can't make friends and get on with her parents. She somehow never says the right thing, and then, which comes out as being rude. And then her grandmother gives her a little grey kitten, and she finds that she can telepathically communicate with this very wise cat. And he helps her to make friends, tells her what to say, helps her to understand how people are feeling, and to deal with lots of tricky and difficult situations. And then in one of the books, he takes her to meet the elementals, and she connects with the fairies and with the elves and all of the other elementals. And they work together to help nature. They help a tree that's been condemned and is going to be taken down for a road. And they work together. And the aim is to show children that they can do something. And in the Tara Meets the Unicorns, there she and the unicorn help to empower a child who's being bullied, and they also help the bully. And in doing so, they help to bring the community together, and they focus on something that they're all going to do together. And it's really wonderful the way children read it, and they feel that they can make a difference. And then the 4th one that's just about to come out, She Meets the Mermaids, and together they help the ocean kingdoms and the world. And again, it shows children that there is something that they can do, they can make a difference. And that there are so many very sensitive children around now who are incarnating for this experience during the transition to the new golden age. And they're very sensitive, they're very aware, they sense energies, and sometimes they see energies. And it's to help to validate their experiences and tell them how they can use them appropriately.
Right. Now, on that, would you be referring to what they call indigo children?
Well, indigo children are those who come from Orion, and they have been trained on Orion. They haven't been anywhere else, and so they have specific issues here on Earth. And the crystal children are another level of those from Orion. But at the same time, There are many children being born now who are wise souls coming from other star systems, and sometimes it's their first incarnation. So although they may be very high frequency and very wise in their own planets and systems, universes, when they come to Earth and they go through the veil amnesia, they're finding things extremely difficult. And so it's to help all of those children. And, you know, there's another category of children coming in, and these are the IVF children, the in vitro fertilization children, who have not been to Earth before. And again, they come in with specific qualities. Because they're not born in passion, they're able to stand back and watch what's happening and and to help people take a new and refreshing look at where things are. And I've got one of my grandchildren is an IVF child, and I can see how differently she sees things. She's a very special child, very high frequency, and all of these children are so affected by the energies,
right?
By the souls.
It's interesting you should say that, because I got a pamphlet in the mail from Inner Tradition Bearing Company. It's a publishing company that sends me these pamphlets about authors and their books that are coming out in case I want to interview some of them. Mm-hmm. And one guy that they recently sent me has a book out called Spiritual Madness, I want to say, and I may have that title just off a little bit, but I'm pretty close, I think. But he talks about children that are diagnosed with schizophrenia or bipolar or some of the other stuff, and how they could really be that these are children that really see what's wrong with the world, and they're having trouble spiritually and emotionally coping with it at such an early age, and it is the answer is not to suppress them, but to help them develop spiritually, in other words.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. The bottom line is that they can't ground their energies. A lot of these autistic children, they're very high frequency. They can't cope with the low energy on Earth, and what they do is that they withdraw part of their soul in trying to cope. Now, when that happens, it's very helpful to connect them to the unicorns. One of my books called The Wonder of Unicorns, and that helps children enormously to connect the higher, purer energies, and the unicorns will help bring back part of their soul energy. If somebody has a child who is very hyperactive and isn't really grounded, I always suggest that they put the child's name or photograph on an orb of Sandalphon, Archangel Sandalphon, who's in charge of the Earth Star chakra, and of a unicorn. And those two beings will then help that child. In fact, I have another grandchild who is very much like that. And I put her photograph onto an orb of a unicorn and Archangel Sandalphon. I didn't tell her mother, and a week later her mother phoned me and said, "Do you know, I don't know what it is with Isabel, but she seems so much more calm this week." And I'm sure it's made a huge difference to her.
It very well could have. I mean, you know, it's hard to really say for sure, but, you know, a lot of people can just get in a quiet place like that and, you know, calm everything. It usually does help.
Yeah, yes, I believe that the angels can have a huge impact on these children who are so very aware, but just not suited to our school systems, our left brain way of trying to cram them with other people's information. They need to be in nature and running around and doing things outside instead of just sitting there. They can't do it. It's not what they've incarnated to experience.
Yeah, and that would make a lot of sense, too. But moving on, before we, you know, while I got the train of thought to the next deal, I didn't want to lose away from the actual purpose of your book. Although, if you ask me, it seems like there's a possibility, there's a link between this children and their inability to cope and the 2032 thing coming up. And matter of fact, that'd be a good way to transition from one into the other. Why don't you tell me if you think maybe I have a point there that could be a possibility?
Oh, I absolutely do. This year is the year we've been waiting for. It's the end of a 260,000-year cosmic era. And so it's the start of the new. And of course, all these children have been incarnating now to help us with this transition through the 20 years to the new golden age starting in 2032. So this year marks the start of the ascension, not just of Earth, not just of this universe, but all 12 universes. And so we are undergoing a huge cosmic shift. There's a great current of energy taking everybody, everything upwards. The trees, the birds, the flowers, everything is affected by it. And so our energy is automatically going to rise, or else we're going to be resisting the flow and having a very difficult time. But the 12th dimensional universe is due to be reabsorbed into the Godhead. A new first dimensional universe is being created, and we on Earth are moving from the fourth dimension into the fifth dimension. And of course, we only moved into the fourth dimension in 2010. So we've had to cope with this double dimensional shift.
Right.
Now we've made it to the fourth dimension. We have just 20 years to move fully into the fifth dimension. And we have been third dimensional because we are the solar plexus of this universe. Now, our solar plexus is where we take in fear, and then we have to transmute it into wisdom or peace or something else. And so Earth is taking in all the fear everywhere in the universe and having to transmute it. And the other fact that's held us back is that we have free will. And that so many beings have come here to experience free will, and then when they've got here, the vibration has gone down, and we have to clear all that. And of course, at the moment, all these billions of souls, I think we've reached 7 billion, are coming to Earth right now under special dispensation, so they have the opportunity of clearing their karma. Once they get through the veil of amnesia, though, they forget what they're doing, but they all have this special dispensation right now. And so this is another reason why Earth is attracting all this help from absolutely everywhere. And so on the 21st of December this year, there is a cosmic moment. Now, many people last year, 11/11, on the 11th of November, were meditating and drawing in higher energies, and it's shaken the world up. It's shaken many people's lives up because they're having to bring the higher frequency through their own system. And this year, the cosmic moment will be infinitely more powerful. It's going to be the first opportunity, because we have tipped into the light, for mass ascension to take place. And this is absolutely awesome, and it's only been in the last year that this has become a possibility. When Obama was elected president, it was forecast that 11% of people would be ascending in 2012. And so many people have worked on this and sent light into the planet that this has now gone up to 22%. And that's awesome. I mean, we have literally doubled the possibilities in that time. Right. And it's really interesting what is happening on that day, because the kundalini of the planet is waking up. The cosmic pyramids placed on the planet are waking too. They're sending out their wisdom for everybody to start to access. And they're waking up the Earth Star chakra, which is in London. And the Olympic Games was always going to be in London. The reason being that the Earth Star chakra is there. It's 2012. It has to wake up. And so a vast number of people have to come into London to send light and celebration and joy, to send the energy into the Earth Star chakra to help it wake up. So on the 21st of December, it's waking up, and that sends an energy through all the chakras, the fifth dimensional chakras on the planet, the 12 planetary chakras. They are waking up too. And there is an impact on this, because when it reaches Glastonbury on that day, that's the heart center of the planet. Glastonbury is connecting with Venus the cosmic heart. And in turn, Venus is going to light up all the crystal pyramids from the dome of Atlantis that have now been spread around the universe into strategic positions. I mean, the story is completely awesome because that means they will all be linked and lit up with love. They will all turn and focus their energy onto Earth, onto the center of Earth, the seventh dimensional chakra called Hollow Earth in the center of our planet, and it's going to wake up the wisdom within Earth so that more and more people can access it. And then, over the transition, the next 20 years to the new golden age, all of the energy of these pyramids is being exchanged with all the planets and galaxies in this universe until in 2032 they will all become fifth dimensional and the shift will have taken place. And people who cannot manage that energy by that time will take a decision to move to another plane of existence for their continuing experience. So we have got an awesome spiritual opportunity over the next 20 years. And in my seminars in America, when I come in June, I will be helping people to connect with the energies, because you can hear it, and that's one thing. But to connect with all these energies actually changes you at a cellular level. More people will have the opportunity to wear the Metatron cloak, and because I wear it in my energy systems, I can help people to connect with it, and I can pass it by harmonic transfer to people. This means that they can connect with Metatron, that they can help people on the Ascension path. It means that they become lights to help many other people to move into Ascension, as well as accelerating their own Ascension and making sure that their own 12 fifth-dimensional chakras remain open. And I will also be able to connect people to the gold and silver cloak, which is the cloak of perfect balance. And it means that we can balance our energy right up into the seventh dimension, the angelic realms, and down into Hollow Earth, which is seventh dimensional. And we can then radiate out an energy that is magnetic to draw in what we want into our lives. So people who do that have the possibility of drawing in the perfect job, of drawing in the perfect partner, the perfect house that they want. They literally become magnetic to their own good. And I think this is a really, really important thing that people can take forward and help them in the to the new golden age. Can I just say something else?
Sure.
Which that for the first time at the cosmic moment, people are going to have the opportunity to experience true happiness for the rest of their lives. This was a state that everybody had in Atlantis, the last golden age on this planet. But as people's chakras got switched off, their lights also dimmed and became switched off. And one reason people haven't been able to experience mass ascension and happiness is because we have sent a lot of junk out into the space around your Earth. We've sent satellites, we've sent spaceships. All of them were made with third-dimensional consciousness. If you have something third-dimensional, it attracts third-dimensional stuff to it. And so we have all this junk floating around Earth, and it's attracting from this universe and other universes third-dimensional energy, which is bombarding us. Now, at the cosmic moment, the energy in Hollow Earth is going to wake up and send a protection around our planet and around our universe. This means the bombardment of the lower energies will no longer be able to take place. So that means that more people can ascend, but also if at the cosmic moment people have the balance of the gold of Sirius, the gold ray of Christ from Sirius, and the love, the pink love from Venus, the cosmic heart, in total balance in their heart centers, then they will draw in happiness and be able to maintain it for the rest of their lives. It's a very awesome thing that people are being offered. I will help people through the process. I write about it in my newsletter and explain what people have to do. But when I'm doing the workshops, I will take people through the process so that they'll be able to access this at the cosmic moment. And I think this is just so important for the movement of the planet and everybody on it.
Okay, now real quick, like a couple of things are going on here. One of them, I got a couple of questions for you. Actually, I got three, two from the chat room, one from me. Now, somebody in the chat room wanted me to ask, I believe it was Jen, can you ask her about the NWO? Will it happen to be the perfect happy world? Okay, now you're already saying it's going to end up being a happy world, so I'm guessing she means after the NWO, I'm assuming. I'm not sure how that question meant. It just says, can you ask her about the NWR question mark? Will it happen to be the perfect happy world question mark?
What is NWR?
New World Order that everybody's talking about.
My feeling is that we just have to concentrate on the light and the love, and we don't give any energy to anything else, and then we can start bringing in higher frequencies. There are lots of people focusing on lower possibilities, and of course we can bring about lower possibilities.
Right.
So whenever I ask any questions about anything other than the light or angelic information or the highest good of the planet, I'm told, do not give that any energy.
Okay. Now, also, she asked earlier on, and I was waiting to, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was going to ask you on her behalf, how do you know if you're an indigo child was her question.
How do you know if you're an indigo child? Some people may never know, but if you feel that you don't quite belong here, that the things that people do are ridiculous and you can't understand why humans behave in this way to other humans and to animals, if you feel often quite ungrounded, but you feel that there are energies around you which you may or may not be able to see, if you have a sense that there's an angelic presence or guide looking after you, these are all indications that you may be an indigo child.
All right.
There are also lots of other beings, as I said, coming in now that aren't indigo children, but who are very highly evolved beings.
Now, another question she asked, the last one I have on her so far, is are there people from the future here in our time to help us?
Well, the answer is yes, because there is no such thing as time. In The Keys to the Universe, which is my last book before 2032, I talk about the keys to time. In the third dimension, time goes very slowly. That's when you're standing out in the hot sun waiting for something to happen. You've had a row with someone, you feel low, and time drags. And when you know what you need to do, but you haven't taken the decision to do it, that's fourth dimensional. When you're in the fifth dimension, you know that everything happening to you is for the highest good. So even if you're sitting in a traffic jam, you're able to bless the traffic jam, all the people in it, you're able to own, and time goes very quickly. When you're in the sixth dimension, you're in two worlds at once. So part of you may be having an angelic experience, while another part of you is taking a walk on Earth. And if you're in the seventh dimension, it's when you're having a bliss moment, a moment when you feel absolutely at one with everything. Now, the more we raise our frequency, the more bliss moments we have. And at those moments, there is no time. There is no past, there is no future. Time all becomes one. And so, if the being from the future, everything is happening now. And so beings who are more highly evolved than we are, who can see where Earth is going, may well be here helping us now but it's all happening in the now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. It's just a matter of remembering where everybody's at one time. I mean, they're all here in the now, but like in a different dimension, in other words.
Absolutely. And then as you go into a higher frequency, it all merges into one. And yes, there are still beings amongst us from what you might call the past or the future who came, say, from the golden age of Africa, which was eons and eons and eons ago. And they were seventh dimensional beings helping Earth, and they are still walking Africa, helping the people there. But they're invisible to us because their frequency is so much higher.
Right. Okay, now the last question was coming from me now, and that was, I heard you mention a newsletter. Actually, there's a couple of questions. One being, how do they get your newsletter? Two being, is this a free newsletter? Do they pay for it? How does that work?
I do a free newsletter every month. You can get it either by registering for it on my website, well, yeah, sending your name in some way. But I always try and put in something about what's happening on the planet, some exercise or some information to help people move into Ascension, something inspirational. And I've also started a little section about my puppy. And people love that. It's just typical, isn't it? I write about all these wonderful things and exercises we can do to change ourselves in the world. Everybody loves a bit about Venus.
Okay. And while you were explaining that, Jen was also asking, when a person is psychotic, would you say that you are on a different dimension, or like are they on a different dimension?
I would say they were ungrounded. They can't manage their energies, and they're going into very often lower fantasies. This is often bred by the internet, and they're living out a lower dimension rather than keeping their energy intact in a higher frequency.
Okay.
And I think that there are going to be more and more people who become unbalanced as the higher frequencies come in. So we need a lot of very grounded people holding the energy steady to help these people who are finding it very difficult to stay grounded, because some of them are acting out violent fantasies, and some terrible things are happening because they can't cope with the higher frequencies.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Which I think is also why proper teaching and upbringing is so important, to help them as their children to learn how to cope with the emotions and the spiritual influences and etc., in other words.
Absolutely. And this is where unconditional love helps. And, you know, there is a portal, one of the 33 cosmic portals that's opening in the end of this year at the cosmic moment, and they're starting to open slowly over the next year or so. Some of them are already beginning to open. But there's one in Honolulu which carries the energy of unconditional love, but it's a sexual energy. It belongs to the sacral chakra. And what it's doing is helping to raise the frequency of people, and especially teenagers, so that they can make more wise choices about partnerships and about their sexuality. And as it raises the frequency of sexuality, it means that by 2032, AIDS will be overcome on the planet. We will no longer have people who have the frequency that allows AIDS to come in. And so that's going to make a big difference. It also, this pink energy that's coming through the portal of Honolulu, is helping people to get their families' situations right. There's so many people, they go off to some other country or to a different state because they feel tied to their family and they're trying to escape. Well, the new energy coming in will dissolve all those cords that hold people back, and will enable people to connect at a higher level within their families, so they can express themselves and be themselves and still feel that they belong. And so that's going to also make a huge difference, and will help the children. The thing is that this will help the children of the next generation, because their parents will have made wise choices of relationships, so that when the children are born, they will be in much more stable relationships.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, also, there's this Circle of Wisdom conference you have coming up, tour. does that have any relation or link to the book Transition to the Golden Age of 2032?
In the Circles of Wisdom in Massachusetts and in New Jersey and in Maine, I will be doing seminars, and I will be talking about angel orbs, but I will also be helping people through the transition, how angels can help you to go through the transition. And in this, obviously, we'll connect to the high-frequency angelic realms, but we'll also be looking at what keeps you safe. And one of the things is working with nature. And so if you work with the elements and with the elementals, then that is the best way of being able to be safe during the next 20 years. Because the cleansing of the planet, which is due to start in 2017, that has already started in certain places, that will be using air, earth, fire, and water to cleanse places. And every single dark place on the planet must be made pure by 2032. And so if you can work with nature, if there is a breeze being sent out to cleanse an area, and people get very frightened and they start talking about hurricanes, the elementals of air go out of control and they create a hurricane. If people hold the energy steady and are calm and they just communicate, just send out a thought to the sylphs, the air elementals, they can do the cleansing by creating a breeze. Now, we had a storm recently in the UK where I live, and people were going outside and they were picking up all their debris from the garden, and that is common sense. And I went outside and I blessed the trees, and I mentally sent out a thought to the sylphs, please just do any cleansing here very gently. Now, I went to bed then, I never thought about it. My garden was untouched, but almost every garden in the area lost trees, lost fences, because they didn't send out that energy of calm to the sylphs. Now, if everybody understood that, we could go through this transition so much more easily. And it works the same with water. We've recently, as you know, had cleansing, and one of them was Japan. And the tsunami that came in was cleansing both ancient karma from the land in Japan and also modern karma in the form of the way they've treated the dolphins, the whales, and their fishing. And so that was all being cleared, though it hasn't been completed. And one of the aftermaths of that was a 4-foot wave that went to Hawaii and hit Hawaii. Now, what Spirit said, or what my guide Kimika said, was that there are enough people on Hawaii who understands the way the elementals and the elements work, and they should have spoken to the elements of the water and asked them to go round the island, in which case there would have been no damage at all. But they didn't do that. And as a result, Hawaii was hit by this 4-foot wave, but that could have been prevented. And the message I give in my book is, everything can be changed. We have all these forecasts of apocalypse, of doom and gloom, and we may create it, but we don't have to. There was a terrible earthquake in Haiti, and that was created by ancient black magic blocking the ley lines. And the angels decreed it was time to clear the ley lines, and they sent fast frequency energy down the ley lines, and that created an earthquake. But it didn't have to happen. If enough people had sent light into that area beforehand, they could have gently cleared the ley lines. And so my book is full of forecasts for the world and the different countries and different places in the countries. But none of those things need to happen because we can change it all. And we can know that when we do change it.
So when is this conference and tour coming up? And I didn't mean to talk over you. You kind of paused, and I thought you had, found a briefing point there. I apologize.
Okay, then that's fine. I am in New Hampshire from the 21st of June I'm doing angel orbs then, how the angels help you through the transition. And then I'm doing becoming an enlightened ascended master. You see, now, for the first time since Atlantis, we have the opportunity to become an enlightened ascended master in this lifetime. And on that workshop, it's very experiential and giving people the keys so that they can become an enlightened ascended master. And then I'm again doing the keys to the New Golden Age, helping people become an ascended master in Vermont. And then I'm going to Nutley, and then I'm going to Voorhees, and then I'll be going to Maine, Freeport in Maine, and I'll be doing the workshops there, including the Angel Orbs one, which I always find absolutely fascinating, because the angels are, when they appear as orbs, still continue to carry their angelic energy, and just by looking at it and understanding the energy of that orb, you can transform something huge in your consciousness. I have one orb that I show people, which is of Archangel Raphael with one of the Lords of Karma. And the Lord of Karma is bringing your karma forward, and Raphael is healing it. So just looking at that orb is shifting things inside people's consciousness. And I have so many different ones, which I find just absolutely amazing. And I've written 2 books on orbs, Ascension through orbs and Enlightenment through orbs. And I think that was one of the most exciting times of my life, when Spirit came in and they said to me, and this woman I had just met at that time, we want you to write a book about orbs. And we looked at each other and said, but we don't know anything about orbs. And they said they would take us through a training program. And I must have worked 12, 14 hours a day as they made us translate every orb that we were sent, and told us how you could work with them and how you could tell what an orb was and what the message of the orb was. And it was just so awesome and so exciting.
Right.
Have you seen orbs?
No, I have not. I mean, other than the orbs that people think are ghosts, like when my father died, I was at his funeral, and they were taking pictures, and when I got one of the pictures, there was an orb in the picture, but that's not the same kind of orb you're referring to.
Well, it may be. What you might have had, I don't know. What color was it?
White.
It was white. So it was almost certainly an angel possibly bringing your father's spirit to the funeral. But some of the orbs are absolutely amazing. And of course, as I say, an orb is the 6th-dimensional light body of an angelic being. And so it still continues to radiate that after it's been photographed or printed out. And that's why it can make such a difference to people.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Now, I was going to also ask you if you've got any other things going on. Now, for one thing, and I almost missed this, I heard you say Maine. That's here in America, am I correct?
That's right, yes.
So you will be traveling to America?
Yeah, in June. I'm coming,
June.
And then that's when I'm going to do the Circles of Wisdom that's in Massachusetts. And then I'm going to New Jersey and then to Maine.
Okay.
The information is all on my website.
You won't be anywhere near Houston, Texas, then?
I'm sorry. Not this time. I'm sure there will be a time.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep my ears peeled for that one.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's very important. The energy that is coming through now, and the gifts that people can receive at the workshops through me because of the energy that I can carry. So it makes a big difference to them. It's not really about what I say. It's about the energy that people pick up.
Right.
That's what shifts people.
There was something you said toward the beginning of the show that keeps coming back to me about indigo children being Pleiadian children. That's caught my attention because I've also heard talk of Lemurians, of Osirians, of Syrians, etc. And I think I heard you also say that the Osirians were the crystal children. Is that correct?
No, they all come from Orion.
Orion, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah, and they're not... No, most of us, those souls go around the universe and to other universes, and we travel through many dimensions. But the crystal children and the indigo children, they haven't. The teachers have gone to Orion to train them. And so they're very wise, they have a lot of information, but they haven't got the experience. So they haven't got the experience of coming to Earth and really feeling what it's like beforehand. So I had an interesting letter from somebody saying that she had a past incarnation, and she'd been told that she was a crystal child, but that she'd been here before. And crystal children and all the children from Orion, the Indigos, it's their first incarnation on Earth, which is why they find it so tricky. And I asked my guide about this, and he said no. The person who had read for her had got it partly right. She had been the guide of someone who'd been on Earth, so she had experienced something of Earth and the difficulties of Earth, but she hadn't actually incarnated here before now. And you know, it's a big shock to people, the souls, when they come in and they haven't experienced the third dimensional frequency. They can learn about it, they can hear about it, but when you're actually living in it, it's very much different.
Okay. Now, I wanted to mention to you a 3 times during the show, you sounded like you were losing your signal. Are you by any chance on a wireless phone that you might be getting further away from the base sometimes than you are other times?
No, I'm on a wired phone.
Oh, okay. It might be just because you're overseas.
It might be. I mean, I always keep a wired phone for radio. It is better.
Okay, yeah. It might just be like I say, you're traveling overseas and maybe that's a long distance, something happens in between. You know how that goes.
Well, yes. The radio waves can be different everywhere, can't they?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not an exact science. Okay. Now, Jim was also asking me, will you be going to Montreal?
No, I'm not. This time I'm just going to Maine and Massachusetts and New Jersey.
Okay. And my wife was also wanting to know, how does she know what child she is?
Well, she'd have to tune in and ask. You know, she'd have to go and listen to her inner and ask. Now, I'm just going to say something which just may trigger her. In order to come to Earth, one, your soul has to be at least 7th dimensional. So all of these people, however 3rd dimensional they are on the planet, actually come from souls that are 7th dimensional. And we all have an I am presence or monad, our original divine spark that is 12th dimensional. This means we are multi-dimensional beings. And many of us have been in many, many different places too. And when we come here, we forget it. But we all have to step down to Earth through either Sirius, and those are the people who are bringing the new spiritual technology of the future forward. All these children, and you ask your 7-year-old to help you to set your television or your computer. Many of them have been trained in Sirius already, and they understand a lot about the technology. Then there's the beings from Orion, and these are like the indigo children, the crystal children, very spiritually wise, but they haven't been here, and so they may not be savvy about what Earth is about.
Right.
Then I can step through either the Pleiades or Neptune. Now, the Pleiades is the healing planet, and so those children may carry healing energy even though they don't understand it. And Neptune is, again, higher spirituality. They carry the unusual energies. I step down in this lifetime through Neptune. And so they will be carrying an energy that's perhaps slightly different to enable them to do different things.
Uh-huh. Now, what I was about to ask about a minute ago, I didn't quite get to, was we've talked about the crystal children and the indigo, but what about the Lemurian and the Syrian? Are they noted as being going by a certain title here on Earth?
Okay. What was the second one, the Lemurians and the?
The Lemurian and the Syrian.
Well, the Syrians, they come from Sirius. And so they've come down through Sirius. They've stepped their energy down through the transformer of Sirius. Now, Lemurians are different. They came from the third golden age on this planet, and that was before Atlantis. And they weren't actually physical. They were mostly in Australia, and they were in North Africa and Fiji and places like that, Polynesia. And they absolutely loved the Earth, and they were strong healers, and they wanted to heal the planet. And what they left as an intentional legacy for us were amazing crystals that they placed into the Earth, specifically designed to help us through the transition. Now, all of those who were Lemurians are coming into incarnation now, and they're bringing with them the wisdom of Lemuria. And they all have a huge love of this planet. They love the Earth, they love nature, and they have a passionate desire to heal nature and help the Earth. Many of them are also working with crystals. Now, the crystals were made in an awesome way because they took specific energies from the auras of Earth and other stars and planets, and they mixed it with source energy, and then they poured it into the Earth and concretized it into the crystals. And that's been radiating the light ever since, trying to hold the energy of Earth pure. And as people who are Lemurians, or those who feel attracted to do the work, start to get into a group, let go of their ego, and focus healing into the Earth, this is waking the crystals up to help them to heal the planet. And so all the cracks and fissures and dark areas inside are starting to be healed by the Lemurians that are coming in now.
Okay, now there was another question in the chat room. I got to come back to it. Can you see more about if you are an indigo child on your natal chart?
You can see everything on your natal chart. So I'm sure if somebody wanted to know if they were an indigo child, then the thing to do is to ask an astrologer to help you. Because the natal is going to give away, if you've got a good astrologer, they can tell you about your cosmic links, all sorts of things from your natal chart.
Oh, I wasn't really aware of that. So, now what I was asking about earlier, you were just telling us about the Lemurians and the Syrians, though. Would the Syrians be called something other than indigo children, or something other than, crystal children, or what would they be known as? In other words,
they wouldn't be known as anything.
Oh.
Many of them are crystal or indigo, but you can also be from Sirius and not be in that indigo crystal band. The indigos and crystals haven't been to Earth before. There are many other beings from Sirius who have been to Earth before and have come down this time, especially to help us to try and bring in higher technology. You see, at the moment we've got a lot of technology that is hurting the planet and hurting the people and changing the way we do things. For example, emails are great. They speed everything up. But we've become impatient. We expect absolute instant results for everything, instant gratification, and that hasn't actually helped the planet. But the Syrians are coming in with higher wisdom. They are bringing in technology that's working on the right frequency band, so it doesn't harm the bees and it doesn't harm the dolphins. And that's the sort of thing that are coming in so that we can move forward without harming anybody. Now, there are many, many Syrians who are bringing that sort of information in. And there are many in the inner planes. There are many schools and universities around Syria that people can access in their sleep. And if you just ask to be taken
Okay. Can you hear me, Diane? Uh-oh. Do I see my... Yeah, my voice seems to be registering, but not with my guest. Hello? Okay, guys, y'all should be able to hear me now. And if you give me one moment, I'll try to reconnect Diana. Oh no, I just had her name in front of me and it disappeared. What happened? Well, that shouldn't have happened. Bear with me, I'm going down my list again. I don't know why her name was in front of me and then disappeared, but it did. Okay, here's her name again. Add to conference. Aha.
Hello?
Diana.
Hello, we got cut off.
It was my fault, Diana, and I do sincerely apologize.
That's all
Well,
right.
you were talking, we had a call come in, and I tried to take that call and put her on hold, and when I did, I accidentally disconnected both of us.
Okay.
Caller, would you like to try to call back in, and I will try to be a little more careful this time. I take calls all the time, believe it or not, but I guess I'm just off thumbs today or something.
Doesn't matter. I'm sure that it was divinely guided, as all things are. I wondered if you'd like me to say something about the cosmic portals opening in America.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea while we're waiting for her to call.
Yeah, because, there are cosmic portals opening throughout the world, 33 of them, and they are bringing in the Christ light, which is unconditional love, plus the light of the 12 rays and the silver ray. And so there are 6 of them in America, and they will profoundly affect the areas and the whole world eventually. And there's one that is opening up, which is carrying the wisdom of Atlantis. It's in the Atlantic Ocean, and it's going to help people and animals to ascend. And then there's another one in Hawaii, which is a Lemurian portal, and it's going to activate the great crystal of Lemuria, and bringing with it Lemurian healing, which we were just talking about earlier, and a love of nature and a desire to heal the planet. So those two are going to start opening later this year. Then America is unique in that it has a portal into Hollow Earth, and this is the main entry at the moment into the seventh dimensional center of Earth, and it will affect all the ley lines. This covers Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. And it's going to have higher angelic energy coming in through there. Now, there may be earth changes and some problems there with weather and things as it moves and shifts and opens, but there will be huge energies coming in. For example, the seraphim, who are the very highest frequency, fastest frequency of the angelic realms, they are going to come in and they're going to touch people in South Dakota and help them and literally touch their hearts. And this is an awesome thing to happen. Then Sedona, of course, is a vast portal, and one of the pyramids from Atlantis was placed over there, from the dome of Atlantis, was placed over Sedona to keep the energy pure there after Atlantis. And that is holding Native American wisdom and is going to start spreading it so that people feel an understanding with the land and their own heritage and help bring community about and oneness. Then there's the Bermuda Triangle, which is interesting because that's where the great crystal of Atlantis fell. And in ancient times, when somebody went into that, if they wanted to open that portal, because the great crystal was also a portal, if they needed to open that portal, anything within that Bermuda Triangle would go through a rapid interdimensional shift and it would disappear. Now, they open the portal more frequently, but it doesn't have so much impact on us because the energy of the planet has risen. And that, of course, contains a lot of the energy from Atlantis, too. And then there's in Alaska, which carries a lot of Christ light and will affect the whole country when it brings in a higher energy because it's very pure there. Now, those are cosmic portals, but also Yellowstone is a vast portal, and it's a portal for nature, and we're told that it will not erupt before the end of the transition, so not before 2032, after which it may do so, but we will have energies to prevent the damage by that time. And the Grand Canyon is also a vast portal, and that's connected to the Pleiades, and so it brings in healing, and it's going to, when it opens, it will bring a lot more healing in for the land. And in fact, we have been sent orbs taken in the Grand Canyon area and around Arizona with the Pleiadians in them, with the beautiful blue energies that they're bringing through. So there is a lot of very, very good things happening in the States as the portals open. Because throughout the whole world, there are portals opening. And for example, in China, where they have been told there's no such thing as spirit, they have been closed down. Every single portal and sacred site has been closed. And as they start to open in the end of this year, people are going to start waking up and seeing spirit and being aware of angels. And that's going to be very frightening for people who've been told they don't exist.
Right.
So they're going to need a lot of help again.
It sounds like it. Now, I was also going to mention to you that that caller called back in, and this time I got her on the line with us without accidentally disconnecting us. Caller, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Could you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I can just hear you.
Perfect.
Hello, anyway.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm great. All good. I have a few questions, if you don't
Great.
mind. Perfect. Okay, first, it's Hollow Earth.
Hollow Earth, yes.
Yes. Is it really in the, like a hole up north, and then you go into it and Eden, like they say? I don't know.
It's a seventh-dimensional chakra. It's the original Garden of Eden, Now, when we talk about a seventh dimensional place, we mean that it's at a different frequency. So it can be like the center of a pyramid, solid stone, but in the third dimension it's stone and you can't move through it. In the seventh dimension, it's as if that stone disappears and you are entering it in your spirit body at a higher frequency. Does that make sense? It's like wearing an invisibility cloak that takes you to a higher frequency. And so in Hollow Earth, everything is seventh dimensional. It holds the seventh dimensional blueprint for Earth. There is an awesome pyramid there, and that contains all the knowledge of everything that's ever happened on Earth. There is a crystal at the top that then radiates that knowledge out. It turns and radiates that knowledge and wisdom out.
When you say crystal, I'm sorry, is it a tangible crystal or?
At the seventh dimension, things are not third dimensionally tangible. You see, the angels are at the seventh dimension, and we can't see them or touch them because they are at a faster frequency. It's all a matter of frequency.
Because I do feel angels.
Still there around you, and in some circumstances, people can see the angels and feel them and feel their wings around them. But mostly, they are beyond our auditory range. And it's exactly the same in Hollow Earth. It's there, but it's not something that we can touch in a third dimensional sense, because it's 4 dimensions higher. But every single being that's ever been on Earth, including those that are extinct, still remain within Hollow Earth. There is a portal to Lemuria in Hollow Earth. So all the elementals, all the beings, all the animals that have ever been here, you can find them in their etheric bodies in Hollow Earth.
So would you say that Genesis is referring to Hollow Earth?
Is that referring to the Garden of Eden?
Yeah, that's right.
As I understand it, your own personal Earth Star chakra is your own personal Garden of Eden, and Hollow Earth is the original Garden of Eden, the heaven on Earth, the heaven within Earth. So I think the answer has to be yes.
Perfect. Auras. You were talking about auras before, and you see, I see auras. I was a little girl, and there's one thing that as I'm growing older, I got pregnant and I had to abort, unfortunately, because circumstances for the child was going to be hard. So I became more sensitive to women, towards women. And when I see a woman pass by and she has no belly, she has no belly bump, like baby bump, I just see this silver aura, and I know that she's pregnant.
Right.
Silver, would you say that silver is the correct aura that I'm seeing, or is it more of a, I don't know, star?
I don't think there's anything such as correct. I think that you see what you see. Silver is the light of the divine feminine, so it would be a very logical color to see. If it was silver blue, it would be Mother Mary's energy with the divine feminine, because as soon as somebody is pregnant, Mother Mary's energy comes in to help protect her and the child. And in fact, when a child is born, they're always surrounded by Mary energy. And if the mother is, or the mother is always surrounded, and if the baby is taken away for any reason, you should surround the baby in that light. Now, as you're very sensitive and you're waking up to seeing these colors, that's something you can do to help people. Send that blue Mary energy to the babies.
Wow, very helpful. Thank you.
Good.
You were talking also about the grand portals.
I was talking about cosmic portals and
cosmic
also
portals,
a couple of other ones in the States.
That's right. And I was wondering, like you said, the Grand Canyon, Alaska, the Bermuda Triangle. I'm sorry, I'm partly French. South Dakota. I was wondering, if I would want to be in that area for those present for the portals, would I literally have to move there, or will it come out and shine upon everybody?
I'm not sure I heard everything there, but the portals are very special places. The energy in them is usually very beautiful, and it might sometimes be quite hard to cope with that level of energy. However, if we are all ascending and we're all offering ourselves to do the highest good for the planet, then we must trust our angels and guides to make sure that we are in the perfect place that we're meant to be at any given time. You see, it's about, if you're wanting to ascend, then you're in service. And so it's about saying, not, I want to be somewhere that I want to be, but where can I best be to help everybody? And so I think that if you do that, then your guides and angels will protect you and ensure that you are safe.
Okay, and that's the sensation I've been getting since I was a little girl.
Good. Well, it sounds like you're really on the right lines.
Thank you. And I wanted to know these portals. Well, is there any because I'm from Canada.
Right.
Is there any in my nation, like in my country?
There's a very big one, which is a cosmic portal, the one that carries the Christ light, in Banff. And that, of course, is where Archangel Michael comes through. And so that is an enormous portal, and that affects the whole of Canada and America.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, America has the effect of Banff, Archangel Michael's portal, but also Mount Shasta in California, that is Archangel Gabriel's portal. And that is where, or retreat, and that's where Gabriel comes in, and also a lot of energy from the Pleiades comes through there.
And why wouldn't they be I'm just going to say it, why wouldn't they be in North Korea, in such a place where there's a lot of violence and dictatorship and, where the people are suffering and, where they would need it? Because here we're not a third world country, but why wouldn't they be protecting more people that would need it? I feel like crying.
Portals were set eons ago, ages and ages and ages ago. Now, for example, there is a huge portal in Mesopotamia in the Middle East, and it's because the portal is opening that there is unrest in the Middle East, because it's raising the frequency, and people are feeling the rise in frequency, and they don't want to be in the dark anymore. They're looking for light and freedom. Okay. And so the portals are where they are, but they affect the areas that they're in. And they may not affect them in the way that we want them to, but they're affecting them in the way to help everybody move towards ascension.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And I have another one. I'm sorry. Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Could you tell me a bit about 2012, this year?
Well, I've talked already quite a bit about 2012 at the beginning.
I'm sorry. I missed the first 3 minutes of the show in the beginning. I'm sorry.
Hey, I'll just do a quick resume. 2012, there is a huge cosmic moment, the 21st of December, and that marks the end of a 260,000-year cosmic era. It's the entire end of the civilization of Atlantis. which ended 10,000 years ago, but it's taken 10,000 years to tie up all the loose ends. So that finally ends then. It's the start of the ascension of all 12 universes, including our universe and our planet. It triggers the opening of the 12 fifth-dimensional chakras on this planet. And so as they open, they're starting to take the whole planet up to another level. Now, there are places, for example, in the throat chakra in Luxor, where there is still a lot of very mixed energy. And this, unless it is cleared, will affect communication on the planet. There is another of the crystal skulls of Atlantis is going to be discovered. Now, the Mayan skull was released at the start of the First World War in an effort to try and help Europe not go to war, but it couldn't stop it. And now they're releasing the Incan skull, which was created by Thoth, and it will be found in Peru, but it will not be released to the general public, and people may not even know about it, but its keepers will find it, and so once it's out in physical life again, it means that people can access all the wisdom within it again. And the wisdom is about how everything has a correspondence on Earth. So if an entity is in harmony, everything around it is in harmony. And this is how they're going to bring bodies into total perfect balance again, by bringing every single part of it back into harmony again. It marks 2012 marks the move into new energies. So we have a 20-year transition to the new golden age. Now this will be the 6th golden age starting in 2032. And there will be a new blueprint at that time for humanity, for the trees, the birds, the flowers, for absolutely everything on this planet. And so we have to get our vibration much higher and purer in order that we can accept the new blueprint. The best thing that we can do to help us for that is to work with our 12 chakras, ensure that they are open and spinning and connected. Now, one of the easiest things we can do is when we go to sleep at night, just tune into each of the 12 chakras, which is very easy to do. Ask the unicorns to bring their pure energy into each chakra. The angels to sing over our chakras the perfect notes to keep us in tune and in harmony. This is a very simple thing to do, but if we do that, it will prepare us for the higher energies as they do come in. Now, from the cosmic moment, for the first time, if people are ready and they are connected with a total balance of love and wisdom in their heart centers, and they therefore bring in the gold ray of Christ from Sirius and the light from the cosmic heart into their hearts, they will be able to tune in and experience true happiness in this lifetime. So there are many simple things happening and a great deal more that I haven't had time to talk about. Does that answer your question as a little resume?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
May I have one more question? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She's so interesting.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is, yeah.
So,
Diana, you are a fantastic woman.
Thank you. Spirit is very interesting. I'm sorry, I'm quiet because I'm trying to hear you. It's not very easy.
Could you hear me now?
I can, but it's sort of crackly.
I'm sorry, maybe because it's my cell phone?
yeah, that might do it, Jen. Sometimes cell phones can, fade in and out.
Yeah, interfere. Yeah. Is it better now?
That is a little better.
Okay. people are getting more and more into spirituality instead of religion these days. And in 2012, will we become more and more spiritual, and will we try to conquer the government and act upon our? Will we demand more free will because here in America, well, the continent, like in the States and in Canada, we're starting to rebel against school, the prices, all these things. And will this help us get into 2032?
Okay. The whole world has to move beyond religion, which is dogma, into spirituality. There are beings like Mary Magdalene and some of the other saints who are great masters who are working in the inner planes to help bring this about on Earth. Now, in the United States specifically, can I just talk a little bit about what's happened there? President Obama was the 44th president of the United States. Now, 44 is the number of golden Atlantis. Atlantis lasted for 260,000 years, and of which time 1,500 years was the golden age, when people lived in total happiness and relaxation and contentment, when everything, including the land and the people, had a golden aura. Now, Obama was a priest in Atlantis, and he was trained specifically to be a bridge with the qualities to take America forward. But in America, as we know, there is a backlog of karma from slavery, from what happened to the Native Americans, all sorts of things, from the gun lobby, from the dogma of the Bible Belt. And all of these things drained his resolution, and instead of shining the light, which is what he was trained to do, he engaged in the lower energies, which of course is very easy to do. And it was hoped that he would be able to hold his vision and make the changes. But he's not connected to the angels, though incidentally his children are. His focus was intended to be on the United States, but he had a desire to be a world leader. And there is a danger that he will fail in his soul mission. Now, I'm saying this as a kind of little soundbite into what's happening there. So the karma and the resistance to change has got to be cleansed and transmuted. Some of this will be done by nature, and others is going to be done by extraordinary angelic grace that has come in for America. In 2032, I go through the states and give a little synopsis of what's forecast. And so many of the states have got extraordinary energies that have been planted there, which are going to start being triggered with the cosmic moment, and which will make a difference to how people feel, so how they can move forward into the new golden age, how they will help each other work communally for the highest good. Now, you talked about people power, the people coming forward and saying what they needed. This is becoming very strong around the world. People are standing up and saying, this is what we need. We will not cope with banks being so greedy anymore. Now, this is a slow business. It's not until 2020 that we finally get the banks to act as they should be doing, instead of in the extraordinary way that they're getting away with. Now, every single thing is now changing. We are moving into a 11-year period, sorry. Everything's about 11 at the moment, because 11 is the number of bringing in the new at a level higher. But in that 11-year period, known as the house move, we have to examine everything. So all secrets are coming up to be examined. People are finding that they can't get away with things like they did before, whether it's in politics or the church or in families. A lot of things are now coming up to be cleared. so the analogy I use in the book 2032, the transition to 2032, is it's like a house move. You have to go to a new place that's much better, but you have to clear out your attic, you have to clear out the cellar, you have to look through every cupboard, and it's chaotic while you're going through that process. We have already started it. And one of the first things that's starting to go is the economic system. All dinosaur businesses have to pass. And there are principalities, which are very high-frequency angels, who are coming in, helping with the end of the dinosaur businesses and the beginning of the new businesses, the new business paradigm for the new age. So the dinosaur businesses are collapsing. This means that by 2032 there will be no supermarkets. We will not have businesses where they're just making profits based on greed.
We're not supposed to be living like that. We're supposed to be living with nature and helping nature and growing off nature and sharing it between ourselves. We're not supposed to have this money currency. We're supposed to be sharing, and that's why the planet is hurting, because we're doing such things, and we're doing actually work that we don't want to, typing, emailing people for work,
rat race
going
to get
to
ahead.
McDonald's.
Okay,
Pardon?
look, I agree with you entirely. And while you hold that understanding, then you will have an easy transition. People who are focused on having a bigger house, a bigger car, a better paid job, they are going to find the transition very difficult, because it is, as you say, about how we work communally, how we support each other. People who have jobs or businesses that are focused on helping people, helping nature, helping animals, using their creativity and love, they will all flourish. Businesses based on greed, on the old paradigm, and they will collapse. And so all these people that are being made unemployed, it's the souls that is saying, it is time for you to find work that satisfies your soul. And so the soul is saying, you must give up this old job. So they're being made unemployed, the businesses are collapsing because they are not doing what's right for them. And now the journey takes them through an initiation into a higher level. And an initiation can be very difficult. Many of these people are just going, and I mean, it's very frightening, it's very scary, and I can understand it. But so many are just trying to get the same job again because they're not listening to their soul. And so they are applying again and again for more jobs exactly the same as the one that they had left. And the journey is to raise your spiritual level until it reaches the level where you automatically attract the job that is right for your soul. And this is why, on a planetary level, so many people are losing their jobs. Nobody says it's easy. Initiations are very, very difficult to go through. But when people understand it, they can start getting their priorities right. And instead of just focusing on, I must have the money to do this, focusing on the lesson and the spiritual growth and staying in the fifth dimension. If you're in the fifth dimension, you focus on your vision, and then the angels automatically bring it about. If you're in the third dimension, you focus on the loss, the fear, the anxiety, and of course you then have a very rough ride. So this is a huge, enormous opportunity for souls to see things differently and grow.
You see, when I was a little girl, I was deep into nature. I would go outside, walk. I would actually kiss the plant, the surface. I would walk around with my shoes off on the grass and just take it in, and I'd talk to everything in nature. And when I started working, I forgot about nature. And I started doing burnouts. I started paranoid. I started getting into psychotic mode. I wasn't myself, and I wouldn't get out of my room. There was something missing in me. And when I went on medical leave, slowly but surely, I started seeing the sun, the sky, the trees, the animals, the birds. I started hearing them. I started being, and I told myself, this is what I was missing. I was missing part of I was missing a quarter of what I need, what I live for, what I believe in, what I, like.
It sounds like you've gone for initiation, and you have reached the level higher, and now you're focused on where you're meant to be, which is connecting with nature. And it is so good that so many people are now starting to do this. We have huge movements in many places of people growing vegetables in the community, for the community, of people working together for the highest good. And I think this is going to rapidly accelerate over the next few years. I hope so anyway, because we need to as a planet in order to fulfill our ascension.
Yes, because she's suffering. She's suffering and she needs our help. I don't know how to explain it. But
it's important also to say that for the ascension of the planet and for all of humanity, it is really important to understand that animals are also ascending and that their incarnation depends on us so very often. Yeah. How very, very important it is for us to treat animals well and humanely. And this applies to all not just the domestic animals, but this applies to farm animals, to wild animals. All of them have come in here for a purpose. Their souls have come to Earth to learn something and take that learning back. If we herd animals into great lorries and thunder them around the country and slaughter them to eat, then they're not able to fulfill their missions on Earth, and it's holding humans back too. And so when we recognize this, we can start sending love and light and peace to the animals, work with the angels of the animals. I have a dog, and every day I've been told that I need to put my dog in protection with Archangel Michael, call in the angel of animals, who is Archangel Felier, who appears in orbs with the most beautiful, rich yellow color, and call in a unicorn to help her with her enlightenment and ascension. And I do this twice a day, and I can see what a difference it makes. In fact, I was in South Africa very recently on tour, and I was missing her. I talked to her, obviously, every night before I went to sleep. I sent her telepathic messages. And so one night, I really felt she was missing me. I got up and I took some photographs out of the window, and in one of them there was an orb where she is being brought to me by an angel, and Archangel Felier, the angel of animals, is with her. And I thought, well, that is lovely. It just felt like such proof that we are all connected and that we all come to each other.
Oh, yeah. God is everywhere. God is nature, and God is, well, for me, sorry, I don't want to push my religion on anybody, but that's...
Well, it's all one.
True.
There is no difference at the higher levels.
Yeah.
There is oneness.
That's right. It was very, very nice talking to you, Diana. Sorry.
Thank you.
And
thank
you so much. You're a very interesting woman. You're very spiritual, and the way you talk is very uplifting.
Thank you. Well, I think that we've got a wonderful, wonderful journey ahead, as long as we keep connected in the way that we can be connected. And I think that it might be appropriate to say something about water, because water carries the love energy of the universe. And water's everywhere. Our bodies are mostly water. There's water in the atmosphere. There's water in the rain and the puddles. And when we bless it, we bring it up to the fifth dimension. So if you see children in a swimming pool or the ocean or the bath or people anywhere, and they're in water or rain, if you bless it, it helps to bring the energy up to the fifth dimension. And
well, it's funny you say that. Sorry. It's funny you say that because every time I'm in water, my angels talk to me and they show me visuals and they send me messages and they talk to me. And it's the most beautiful thing.
If you have any special stories from the angels, do send them to stories@dianacooper.com to include in our new book of True Angel Stories. And that applies to anybody. We're collecting true angel stories to uplift and inspire people, give them ideas. And, I've been going through some of the stories we've been sent, and it's shifted even already how I feel about the angels, because I see the faith and the love and the help that the angels have given people. Even though I talk to them every day and I'm surrounded by angels and they always support me and help me, even so, working with this book has just made a difference again. So
I'll send them all to you, no problem. With pleasure.
Anacooper.com. We'd love to have them.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So I'll let you go, and I'll pass you back to Royce.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you.
Goodbye.
God bless you.
Thanks for calling, Jen.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well.
Hello. Do you have any more questions for me?
That's what I was thinking of. Now she's a very nice lady. She's been listening to me very faithfully for quite some time now, and she usually does call in with questions. She's she's like a sponge. She likes to absorb all this information, and I think it's just wonderful to see people that want to learn.
Oh, absolutely. And clearly very wise in her own right and knows an awful lot too.
This is true. I was going to ask you if there's anything that I didn't think to cover.
Well, I can talk forever because I've written, as you know, 19 books for adults, and they're all packed with spiritual information. So it's just a case of where we're going, really. I like to talk about orbs because I think they're so important. But, people can work with the unicorns for enlightenment. And I have a YouTube clip which shows people orbs of unicorns. And what the unicorns have said is this: if you look at an orb of a unicorn with your heart open, now that's important, with your heart open, then they will remove the next veil of illusion from your third eye. So we have 7 veils of illusion, and they will automatically remove the next one if you look at the orb with your heart open. And so there are 7 orbs corresponding to the 7 veils of illusion on the YouTube clip, and I explain what each veil is about so that people can literally clear their illusion and move into enlightenment very, very quickly. The unicorns are absolutely amazing to work with. They're so high and pure energy. And many of them are coming to Earth now, just as 15, 20 years ago the angels were all coming in and making themselves known. Now the unicorns are drawn by the higher frequency. They're looking for people who are offering themselves in service or want to help humanity or a project in some way. They're looking for the light to switch on over their heads. When it does switch on, they connect with them and start to help them. And the angels work with the energies of your heart, but the unicorns work with the energies of your soul. So they can bring your soul wishes forward. This is why they're so good at working with children and helping bring back parts of their soul that have withdrawn. But they are just so wonderful to work with. They really lighten the whole energy up.
Right.
And people dream about unicorns, and if you dream about a unicorn, it has come in to touch you and is profoundly affecting you at a soul level.
My wife, she's, if I remember correctly, she has a thing for unicorns. She just loves them.
Oh, I'm sure she does, because they are very special, and they come to you if you're ready. So clearly your wife is ready and is in service to humanity in some way. And then the unicorns will be with her. They work with Mother Mary energy too. And of course that is pure compassion and love.
Now, is there any link to these orbs and unicorns and portals between all of that and crystal skulls?
Is there a link? Well, they're all higher energies coming in to help us now in different forms. The Mother Mary, when she was in Atlantis, she had the most magnificent aquamarine light. And then in later times, as the energy went down, her energy that she appeared to us in was a deeper blue. But now we're starting to see orbs of her in her aquamarine light again. So she's bringing her higher frequency, compassion and love through. Because Mother Mary is actually a universal angel who works across the universes, bringing in compassion. She's the most amazing being. And I just find her completely awesome and wonderful. I had an amazing experience once. I've taken a lot of orbs. On this occasion, I'd been going out every day for 2 or 3 weeks, and I'd been sending pink love to all the trees, the animals, the grass, the water, everything I met. And I've done this consistently for some time. And then I went out in the evening one night, and I just took some orbs into the black sky, some photographs into the black sky. And it was blank, 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 and then bright pink, and then blank, blank. So I went inside and looked, and in the bright pink one, there was a huge, bright pink orb in a heart shape. The center was white, which was an angel of love. Then it was bright pink, which was Archangel Chamuel, the angel of love. And then around it, there was a deep magenta, which was Mother Mary's energy, because she sometimes appears in magenta as well. I thought, well, I'm going to breathe in the energy of this orb. I'm going to imagine it all around me. And I went out next day imagining the orb was all around me and that people could feel it. And a squirrel just came right up to my foot and danced for about 5 minutes in front of my foot. And a little fawn sat by the pathway, just in the grass. And we stood and looked at, or he sat and I stood and looked at each other and exchanged love. And I knew he could just feel the energy. And a couple of days later, I was doing the same thing. I was surrounded by this love of the orb and Mother Mary's energy. And I saw an elf coming towards me. And he had with him 6 spirit children. And they were all young. They were between the ages of 2 and 5. And they were obviously struck souls. And one ran away into the woods, but the others came towards me. They saw the light, and I just knelt down, not physically, but etherically, and handed them over to their mothers that came. One was a little boy with blonde curly hair, and he had a little sailor suit on. And the joy on their faces was just amazing. And then I walked on, and I wondered, what has happened to the child that ran away into the woods? And the elf came towards me, holding this child firmly by the arm and marching him up to me. And then the child saw Mother Mary's energy in the orb, and he came running in, and both his mother and father in spirit came in and collected him and took him off. And then I saw them all going, and a plane went over, leaving a pure white trail. But it wasn't just a pure white trail, it was shining. And afterwards, my guide said, yes, there's an angel of love had come into the trail and was helping them all to pass over. But it was the energy of the orb around me that had made that possible.
Okay.
I think
Yeah, go ahead.
Happen.
Yeah, I never really realized there was so much involved with orbs and different colors of orbs and stuff like that. And I'm quite sure your book's got a lot of information, a lot more than what you can remember in one setting. It's probably one of those you have to, go back through on more than one occasion to, because it sinks a little bit at a time.
Yeah. Yes, it does. I mean, they worked with us for months teaching us about the different colors. the different energies, how you could tell which archangel was in one orb and what effect it had on you, because that's the important thing, how you let it impact on your energy fields and what you then take in from that orb, and how each one has a color. Sometimes they come together. We've been sent by 2 people fabulous orbs of every color you can imagine, taken at their mother's funerals. And in each case, the mother ascended. And this was archangels coming to collect and conduct the mother back to the spirit world.
Now, you hear stories about that on TV from time to time, kind of like people having their guardian angels, and some people say they can actually see them there, in other words.
Yes, indeed. Well, I saw the very first time I had an angel experience was when I was in absolute rock-bottom despair. I came from a totally non-spiritual, non-religious background, non-psychic, and yet, when I was in such despair, I threw myself into a chair and said, "Is there anything else? If there is, show me." And an angel came in, a golden being of light, about 6 foot tall, and literally took me out of my body, and we went on a journey around the universe, and the angel showed me my future and told me that I was to be a spiritual teacher, which was to be a bit of a shock for somebody who had no religious or spiritual understanding. But it changed my life, and I then started working with angels, working with spirits, training to be a counselor and a hypnotherapist, and literally changed my life. And then they came back 10 years later and asked me to spread knowledge of angels to people, tell people about angels. I said, "No way. I don't want to do that. People think I'm nuts already. I certainly don't want to tell people about angels," because this was a long time ago. And they said, "Who's doing your work? Is it your ego or your higher self?" And I said, "Point taken." And I sat on the bed, and 3 angels stood in front of me and gave me a whole lot of information, which became my first angel book, which was is now New Light on Angels. And they supported me all through. I went on to morning television to talk about it and talk about the angels. And they said, "Would I have my aura photograph taken?" And I said, "Sure." And I said to my angel, "Please step into the photograph," thinking people would see the light or sense the light from it. And the angel impressed itself onto the photograph. And they had 114,000 calls, which is massive for Little England. And I had to go back next day and talk more about angels. But the fascinating thing was that people were phoning in and saying that I've seen an angel and I've never ever dared tell anybody. And it kind of broke open the taboo.
Right.
And that was about 15 years ago.
That was quite a while back. But I was going to mention that, one of the people was in the chat room was wondering if there was some way they could contact you either on Skype or email or, whatever you might feel comfortable with, if they want to talk with you more or something of that nature, share more. And I mentioned you got a contact link on your website. That goes directly to you, don't it?
They can get through to my office on the website, dianacooper.com. I have a massive website, absolutely packed with information. There's a questions and answers section, which has answers put up every month, thousands and thousands of questions and answers. I also have a Facebook column, and again, we answer orb pictures on there and tell people what they are. Have an orb section on the website that people can write in and send their orbs either to the Facebook or to orbs@dianacooper.com, and we answer all the orbs. I have a school, the Diana Cooper School, where we train people so that they can become teachers about angels or Ascension or 2012 or transformation. We have a whole raft of courses, and the teachers also help to answer some of the questions.
Okay. Now, we got about, I'd say, 15 minutes still remaining. We went about an hour and 45 minutes so far. Been a pretty interesting show, and we've had a lot of interaction going on here. So I was going to ask you, is there anything you got coming up in the near future that you want people to know about? We know you got your tour going on, and you got this circle of wisdom going on, but what about, say, like between now and June, or do you have any new books going out?
No, I haven't. I've got things that I'm doing in Germany and in London. As I said, I've just come back from a tour of South Africa, but I'm not doing anything in the States until June. And then we've got the things that are taking place in Massachusetts and in New Jersey and in Maine. And I do think it's worth going on there because they are profoundly life-changing.
Okay,
they
so
literally do change people at a cellular level so that the new things can come in and people connect at a deeper level with their angels, and they wear sometimes the Metatron cloak or the gold and silver cloak or even Mother Mary's cloak that I carry, and they can literally change their lives.
All right, so right now you're just taking a little bit of Diana time for Diana in between tours, so you might say.
Well, not really, because I'm writing the next book and I'm updating the last book. And there's always a lot of things to do.
Oh, I'm quite sure. You sound like a very extremely busy woman. But I was going to say, why don't you tell us a little something about your next book?
Well, this is to raise funds for the school, and which is a not-for-profit organization. So 100% of the profits are going to the school. And it's called 1,000 True Angel Stories and Exercises and Visualizations. And people are sending in stories. We're collecting true angel stories and putting some inspiration with them and adding some exercises and visualizations so people can make their connections. And it's actually awe-inspiring because people are so full of faith and trust, and they have such wonderful experiences once they've opened up to the angels. And I found it really beautiful to bring it all together.
Sounds exciting.
Next year.
Okay. And are there any last-minute thoughts that you'd like to share with everybody?
Oh, I think the main thought is that we can make a difference. There literally is nothing to fear because every single one of us can make a difference. That it's really important to go out into nature. We can find that nature will heal us awesomely. I had an amazing experience a few months ago when somebody said something fairly horrible to me and I took it in. And in the morning, I was still churning it and I said, I don't want this energy in me. This is horrible. This is third dimensional. It's holding me back. And yet, I kept having the same thoughts again. So I went out into my local forest and I just said, nature and angels, please take this away from me. And as that happened, I heard the elementals that came around me and they started to sing my name. And then the angels joined them and sang my name. And then a unicorn came in and held the energy. And this went on for, it was out of time, I don't know. And when it finished, I couldn't even remember what the problem had been. My heart just felt absolutely glowing and beautiful. And I thought all I did was ask, and they did that for me. And, you know, if we ask, an answer will come. So I think that we live in this amazing and awesome world where there are so many energies wanting to help us. And if we can just open up and trust it and let it happen, then the most incredible things are going on. We can use every day as a spiritual opportunity to send out energy to transmute. We can use the gold and silver violet flame and we can visualize it helping war-torn places. Other parts of the world, we can send bubbles of love to people. There's no minute needs to be wasted. You can be standing waiting for someone instead of being impatient. Send bubbles of love around all the people that you see. If you see an ambulance, ask the angels to go and help the people that are in it. And here's another interesting thing. The more angels you send out, the more angels come to you. And so sometimes you can have hundreds of angels around you, all waiting for you to send them out to do work that they can't do because of our free will. So unless somebody says, please help that person, the angels can't step in and help them.
Okay.
So we can make every moment of our life count, help somebody else, help ourselves, and help the entire planet move to a new plane of happiness.
Alrighty. Now, once again, I want to remind everybody that in addition to me copying her links and putting them in the chat room, if you look below the chat room, below the call-in number, you'll also see her picture along with her book cover in the show description, and it has a link to her site there, www.dianacooper.com, and it also has her link to her tour that she sent me. And I don't want to read that one off because that's a very long one with dots and question marks and equal signs and, and signs and one of those confusing looking links. So it'd be easier just to let you scroll down to it. And I also put it in the chat room. Don't forget to invite your friends. Folks, don't forget to see me Tuesday. I'm going to have Dr. Joy Pa on, I think is her name. And she's going to talk about evil and 666 in Eden. And it should be an interesting show. I found her book over at Amazon and thought it looked like it was worth talking about. It looked pretty interesting, so I invited her over and she agreed. And I hope to see people here then for that one and maybe even ready to ask some questions. And I also want to remind everybody, don't forget to stop by and visit my friends over at United Paranormal International .ning.com. And it's a wonderful little social network, kind of like MySpace or one of those, only it's full of people that's in the paranormal community that have the same information that I have here at this radio show that my varied guests have, that even Diana has, and these are people from all over the world. And please forgive me, I'm getting a little hack up while I'm talking, and it interfered with my conversation. I apologize for that. But at any rate, these people are from everywhere around the whole entire world, and they're people that can actually go out and investigate, like if you got ghosts or UFO sightings or whatever the case may be. Also, I want to thank everybody for coming. It doesn't matter if all you did was listen or if you called in or if you typed questions. All of it's participation, and I couldn't have a show without people to participate in it. I had to have guests and listeners as well. Diana, I wanted to thank you for coming. I think you've been a fantastic guest, and I got to tell you, my listeners have been typing wonderful things about you in the chat room.
Great. Well, that's wonderful. And I love them all. I think that you're beautiful people.
Oh, well, thanks. I really appreciate that. And before we let you out of here, get you off the hook all the way, I was hoping that you would be willing to come back to my show in the future, maybe when you get your next book out or, you got another tour or something else going on you want to let my listeners know about. I'm hoping you'd be contacting me and let me know you want to come back.
I would love to. Thank you very much for asking me.
All right. Well, thank you very much for accepting, and it's been a real pleasure having you. However, we're getting up toward that 3 o'clock hour over here in my neck of the woods, so I'm going to cut loose while we still got time to make supper over here. And
okay.
I'll look at you another time.
Lovely talking to you. So, goodbye.
All right. You have a good one. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Okay, everybody. I want to, like I say, thank you guys for coming. Don't forget to invite your friends. Don't forget to share my link in your groups, your social networks. And, dudes, I have a review section here. If anybody ever wants to go in there and post reviews about these shows, feedback is a very wonderful thing. I also have forums here. So in the meantime, I'm going to call it quits for the day, and I want to thank you guys for coming. And y'all have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.